At 9, as parents struggle to find baby formula amid a shortage, many are turning to alternatives. Going to look at what's safe and what's not.
New details about the gunman and those who were shot and killed inside of this supermarket in Buffalo, New York behind me. I'm Alexis McAdams. I'll have details coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Jordan Albee. One man is dead and another in the hospital after a shooting in Joplin. Police say the shooting happened just after 6 p.m. around the intersection of 5th and South Connor. Authorities are not releasing any names or information about a possible suspect. You can continue to find updated information on this case on our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. Joplin police arrested a man for a weekend shooting. On Saturday, police say an intoxicated man tried to get an Uber, but the driver refused to give him a ride. Police say as the driver was pulling away, the man shot at his car. No one was hurt. Officers found an ID on the ground where the shooting happened and tracked the suspect to his home, where they arrested him. All right, meteorologist Doug Ketty joining us now. First look at the forecast. Recovering after a very sour piece of lemon head in your mouth, huh?
No, it's a sour Smartie.
Sour Smartie. The look on your face, though, man.
Well, it's because I thought they were Smarties. I didn't think they were sour Smarties.
Are you okay?
Yeah, but I'm going to eat more. I mean,
I was worried for you.
They're fine. Yeah. All right, outside looks pretty good. We're looking at 7th and Rangeline. High temp 81, 77 is our normal high. So pretty typical for this time of the year. Still clear skies. Watching thunderstorms out across the panhandles of Oklahoma and Texas, and this complex will eventually make it here by morning. So we're going to talk about that, plus a severe threat here in just a bit.
Doug Ketty, thank you. Baby formula maker Abbott says it's reached a deal with regulators to restart production at its factory, which is tied to the formula shortage nationwide. Despite this news, it's still going to take weeks to get formula to store shelves. That shortage is causing parents to look for alternatives. As KOAM's Chris Warner explains, some of those alternatives could be dangerous.
Store shelves are bare as the baby formula shortage continues. While there's good news on the horizon, right now, parents are looking for alternatives to feed their babies. Social media has been playing a part in suggesting alternatives, which Dr. Beth Garrett, a pediatrician with Freeman Health System, says can be dangerous. One of those things coming up on social media is people selling breast milk. Dr. Garrett says don't buy that, even if it's from someone you know.
That breast milk may contain viruses such as HIV, hepatitis C, hepatitis B, CMV, and can make your baby sick.
Dr. Garrett says she's seen a couple of different recipes floating around online for making your own formula at home, which is something else you need to avoid.
When we make our own formula based off of those old-time recipes, we are really going to cause problems with electrolytes that can lead to seizures, hospitalizations, make baby very sick.
Another thing to avoid? Goat's milk.
Goat's milk is low in a lot of key essential vitamins like folate, B vitamins. It's also very high in sodium, and again, that can lead to electrolyte abnormalities, leading to hospitalization and seizures. It can lead to some very severe anemias, and so it is not safe to feed your babies goat milk.
Dr. Garrett says cow's milk is acceptable, but you need to limit it to 1, maybe 2 feedings, as it can cause its own set of problems.
The reason we don't want to stay on cow's milk is it's deficient in iron, and also it can cause some microbleeding in the colon over time, which increases the iron deficiency, and babies get pretty anemic if we stay on cow's milk.
Another issue has been Wick Vouchers. Wick participants are limited to what the voucher is approved for, which Rebecca Laird with the Newton County Health Department says has changed.
The FDA moved pretty quickly to allow the state WIC programs to start offering alternative sizes and alternative brands.
Dr. Garrett encourages you, where possible, to consider alternative formula brands until the shortage is resolved. I'm Chris Warner for KOAM News.
WIC programs are now able to offer different formulas during the shortage. The state of Missouri has composed a list of those alternatives, which is a great resource even for non-WIC parents. We've got a link in this story on our website again, KOAMnewsnow.com. Construction work began today at Pittsburgh Community Middle School. The work is part of the bond project passed by voters in January. School officials hosted an event right there to celebrate the construction kickoff. Under the project, all 4 floors of the middle school are going to be remodeled. That includes adding a modern science lab, adding an ADA-compliant elevator, and renovating the school's auditorium.
Front of the building, we've had to move teachers that are in the front of the building into smaller spaces, so it'll just be a little tight next year. In fact, our teachers lounge is going to be a life and career skills classroom so that they can use our stove and such. So it's going to be tight, but everyday operations should go on as normal.
The bond was approved to cover $16.5 million in costs. It continues the previous mill levies through 2045. Investigators are looking into the gunman accused of shooting and killing 10 people inside a supermarket in Buffalo over the weekend. They say the assailant was planning this attack for quite a while, plans to kill even more people, but was stopped by police after attempting to leave the store. Fox News correspondent Alexis McAdams has more.
Right now, FBI agents are combing through the top supermarket in Buffalo, New York, the site of a deadly mass shooting over the weekend that left 10 people dead. Police say the gunman, 18-year-old Peyton Gendron, pled not guilty. If he's convicted, he faces a maximum sentence of life in prison without parole. Investigators calling this a hate crime. 11 of the 13 victims were black.
This was an act of domestic terrorism perpetrated by a young white supremacist. There is no question about his intentions.
Among those killed were Aaron Salter, a retired Buffalo police officer who was working as a security guard at the grocery store at the time of the shooting. Salter being hailed a hero after police say he tried to stop the gunman.
He actually was able to shoot the assailant twice, but he had on a bulletproof vest, and he lost his life in the process.
He stopped this individual from going further into the store and just delaying it.
On Tuesday, President Biden will be in town to meet with families of the victims. Local officials calling the gunman a white supremacist, as the U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland says his office will look into the shooting as a possible hate crime. Right now, the gunman remains behind bars here in Buffalo, New York, and this comes as there was another mass shooting in California over the weekend that left 1 person dead and several others injured. Reporting in Buffalo, New York, I'm Alexis McAdams, Fox News.
After the bloody weekend of mass shootings, crime is back in the forefront in consciousness of voters as the midterm campaign season gears up. President Biden is honoring public safety officers today, and as we just heard about, plans to travel to grief-stricken Buffalo tomorrow. Fox News correspondent Lauren Blanchard is in D.C. now with more.
The nation was left horrified after a weekend of coast-to-coast shootings in places Americans should be safe. A grocery store in Buffalo, New York, and a church in Laguna Woods, California.
Where do we go from here? How can we fix this?
At the White House, President Biden honoring public safety officers with medals of valor. The president also remembered public safety officer Aaron Salter, who died trying to stop the racially motivated shooting in Buffalo.
We pay tribute to all law enforcement officers and their families who understand what it takes, what's at risk to save and protect all of us.
The mass shootings again highlighting an uptick in violent crime in the U.S. According to Gun Violence Archive, there were 53 mass shooting victims since Friday, and too many others to name since January. The latest Fox polls show both crime and gun laws are top concerns for Americans.
The availability of guns in this country needs to change.
New York gun laws should have stopped the suspected Buffalo gunman from buying a gun. They didn't.
He slipped through the cracks, and I could understand the anger from family members because, that's unacceptable.
Republican Senator Bill Cassidy introducing a bill asking the administration to come up with a strategy to stop violent crime, quote, by reinforcing strong criminal justice policies, by laying blame on the perpetrators of violent acts, and by securing the southern border. On Tuesday, President Biden and the First Lady will travel to Buffalo to meet with community members. In Washington, Lauren Blanchard, Fox News.
KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14 takes this time now to honor another 4-state hero. Merle Allen served in the U.S. Army during World War II. Native of Iola, Kansas, Allen was stationed in Germany, earning several awards. And we are proud to thank and salute Merle Allen. He's tonight's 4-state hero. Doug Heddy's next with a complete look at the forecast. Get that candy out of your mouth, Doug. And later, Joplin Eagles hitting the field for the first round of the district playoffs. Going to have highlights from their quarterfinal matchup with Republic in sports.
Well, it turned out to be a nice Monday for us today. Temperatures pretty good, lower 80s for highs. And of course, we got the sunshine returning as we went through the daytime hours today. But our temperatures warmer than what we did see most of yesterday, as we had the cloud showers and thunderstorms that were around during the daytime hours yesterday. Allergies are high, tree, grass, mold, all up there. On a scale of 1 to 10, today's an 8, tomorrow's a 7. So if you are an allergy sufferer, you may have some issues as we go through the next couple days, which is typical for this time of the year. All right, temps mid to upper 60s to near 70. We'll drop back kind of in that 58 to 60 degree range. It looks good here, 7th and Rangeline. Currently outside at 69 east. Northeasterly winds are light at 5. Humidity is at 57%. There's nothing going on here. We have clear skies, and we're going to continue with the clear skies over the next several hours. And then eventually, this batch of showers and thunderstorms will start to head toward us later on tonight. You can see it really from Lubbock, Amarillo, up into the Panhandle, Forgan, of parts of Oklahoma. And this will weaken as it heads toward us, but we are going to get some scattered showers and thunderstorms later on tonight as this storm system heads toward us. So we do have at least a low severe threat tomorrow. I'm not really worried about the morning storms. As we get into the afternoon, we may get 1 or 2 that try to pop up, but this main threat is mainly for tomorrow night. Late tomorrow night, after midnight, I'm going to keep all the threats on the low side, but something we want to keep our eyes on as we work through the daytime hours tomorrow. All right, let's go through the overnight hours tonight. This kind of broken, kind of complex, pushing into southeastern Kansas, northeastern parts of Oklahoma. Most of these are just going to be moderate, maybe a few strong storms. These will slowly kind of work through, scattered about. Here's the 10 a.m. hour, so it is going to be wet. We're going to have the clouds during the morning hours. As these advance off toward the east and we get into the afternoon, they may try to flare up a little bit more. Here's 1:30 in the afternoon. Get some sunshine. We warm back up into lower 80s during the afternoon. So it looks pretty good for most of us. Now, if we look out toward the west, central Kansas, we'll have to see if 1 or 2 storms can try to pop up. Most likely not going to happen, and then they'll get going with a complex out across Nebraska and then western Kansas as we go through the evening hours, and then it'll start to dive in, especially our northern counties tomorrow night. So these will have a hail and a wind threat as we go all the way into early Wednesday morning. These will push through. Then as we get into Wednesday afternoon, there's a slight chance we may get another little guy which will try to pop up across the region. So plenty of chances for thunderstorms. 82 tomorrow, 84 on Wednesday, 86 on Thursday, 84 Friday. Another severe threat. Cooling down, 60s by the time we head into the weekend.
Yeah, and Saturday night, 46. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, getting down there.
Doug Heddy, we'll see you in a little bit. Thanks so much. Coming up, a shift in momentum.
Russian troops are in short supply as Ukraine fights back in the east. I'm Greg Palcott in Kyiv. That's my story. Coming up.
Selling its Russian business, it's looking for a buyer that's going to keep its 62,000 workers. McDonald's expects to record a charge of $1.2 to $1.4 billion to write off the businesses. All of its restaurants in Ukraine remain closed amid the war, but they are still paying employees there. Pentagon says momentum has shifted in the ground war in Ukraine, with Russia suffering heavy losses. Fox News senior foreign affairs correspondent Greg Palcott has more now from Ukraine.
Ukraine can win this war.
It's a growing consensus among Ukraine's allies. Russia still remains a major threat, but Ukrainian forces have the momentum on the ground, successfully pushing back against a major Russian offensive in the east, with the Pentagon estimating a third of Russian troops have been injured, captured, or killed, their highest rate of casualties since World War II.
Their major offensive in Donbass has stalled. Russia is not achieving its strategic objectives.
As Ukraine plans more counter-offensives, artillery and other weapons are still pouring into the country. NATO allies delivering 10 airlifts in just the past 24 hours. But with the Ukrainians still heavily outnumbered, there are questions about whether they have the resources to drive the Russians off their territory.
All the resupply, arms, ammunition, sanctions, and the like have got a hold here. What Putin wants is to drag this out, develop Ukraine fatigue.
Russia also suffering a loss on the diplomatic front. Sweden announcing Monday it would join its neighbor Finland and apply for NATO membership after decades of military non-alignment. Vladimir Putin is playing down the importance of the move, but also warning there could be military consequences.
There is not an immediate threat to Russia with the inclusion of those countries, but the expansion of military infrastructure over that territory will obviously call for our response.
The Pentagon also says that despite Russia's big technological advantage, the airspace over Ukraine remains contested. In Kyiv, Greg Palcott, Fox News.
Still ahead, the cost of staying comfy.
Temperatures are on the rise, and unfortunately, so are energy costs. I'm Madison Allworth in New York City. Coming up, I'll explain how much more you should expect to pay this summer.
Americans should expect a shock from their summer electric bills. Fox Business Network's Madison Allworth has more on how much New Yorkers could be paying this summer.
Americans should expect higher energy costs this summer. Con Ed telling Fox Business that residents in New York City will pay on average 11 to 12% more this summer compared to last year. This all coming at a time when increased prices are being seen across the board. Con Edison says that for a typical New York City resident that uses 350 kilowatt hours per month of energy, they can expect their monthly bill to go from roughly $104 to $115 per month. But in Westchester, where usage is closer to 500 kilowatt hours, they should expect a 15.6% increase in cost from roughly $133 to $153 per month. And this is all after a winter of increased energy costs as well. It's not just in New York. Pennsylvania regulators warned earlier this month that customers could see increases of 6 to 45% starting June 1st. Eversource, which serves New Hampshire, Massachusetts, and Connecticut, said customers could see an increase of 23 to 25% through at least June, and people in South Carolina are seeing jumps of 5 to 19%. Energy supply costs are at their highest levels since 2014, and the elevated cost of gas is not helping. But experts say it's not just the volatility. Policy changes are compounding the problem, particularly in places like the Empire State.
The previous governor should be held to account. He's promised wind, solar, etc. So as those things struggle to come online, we have a supply problem. We have an electricity production supply problem, and the result will be high prices.
And it's not just individuals that have to manage these higher costs. Business owners do as well. Here in New York City, Con Edison says that the average business owner is going to have to spend $300 more per month in energy compared to last year. In New York City, I'm Madison Allworth, Fox Business. Next, one of those awesome times. Medical tools meant for humans perfectly helps an animal in need. This baby giraffe at the San Diego Zoo is running and jumping with the help of a custom leg brace. 3-year-old Situni was born with a limb abnormality, making it difficult for her to walk and stand, greatly affecting her chances of survival at all, really. But to help Situni, the San Diego Zoo reached out to a local company, Hanger Clinic, that makes orthotics and prosthetics for humans. Although the company had never worked with a giraffe before, got straight to work fitting a custom brace for the creature, even making it, take a good look, even making it giraffe patterned so she could blend in perfectly with her family. You can look at that. She's smiling. That's a smile right there. She's loving it. 30 more minutes news, weather, and sports coming your way.
How the Quapaw Nation and other search and rescue teams are adding more tools to their tool belt. I'm Jalen Banks with more on the story.
Plus, Joplin City Council meeting tonight to discuss, among other things, property tax question on the August ballot. Some area canine units are getting training on different kinds of rescue scenarios. The Quapaw Nation Emergency Management is one of several departments going through water search and rescue training for the next 3 days. KOAM's Jalen Banks has more on this story.
The Quapaw Nation Emergency Management Team is hosting a K9 water and boat search and rescue training this week.
So we progress from very, very basics. It's the idea of crawl, walk, run,
So we progress from very, very basic exercises on the land, and then we move that target odor that the dogs are trained to respond to into the water, and then we also work on body language of the dogs working off the docks.
The training will benefit more than just those in the Quapaw Nation.
The training had participants not only from the Quapaw Nation, but from the rest of the 4 states, North Carolina, Virginia, and from as far as Calgary, Canada.
The group is being led by Sally Dickinson, who is getting her PhD in applied animal behavior from Virginia Tech University. She has a specialty in behavior modification and is over 20 years working with K9 in search and rescue. And she says this type of search and rescue is different.
It's highly specialized. The dogs that work this kind of work need a lot of training, not just for the dog, but for the handler themselves. This is really kind of an expertise level of search and rescue.
With outdoor and water activities ramping up with summer on the horizon, Hugh Murray of the Quapaw Nation Emergency Management Team thought that doing the training was important.
In our area, I think waterways is the main recreation, especially in the 4 states. So we found this to be a vital training that we wanted to make happen. This is very, very unique. This is very different. So you wouldn't think it, but once you start realizing how much the dog's nose knows, you can do stuff like this.
At the Twin Bridges Grand Lake State Park in Wyandotte, Oklahoma, Jalen Banks, KOAM News.
The training is available to the public for viewing. Joplin City Council approved a plan to add a property tax question to the August ballot. If approved by voters, the property tax would be for a rate of $1 per $100 of assessed valuation. It would pay for wage and funding increases for the Joplin Police and Fire Departments, which were also agreed to tonight. Also at the council meeting tonight, council members watched a presentation of what the Celebration Commission has been doing leading up to the city's 150th anniversary. They're working on a promotion themed around the city flower, which is the iris. The commission is also trying to schedule some concerts, open art history and culture exhibits, and get special mining camp uniforms for the Joplin High School baseball team. The 150th anniversary is going to be March 23rd of next year. Missouri charter schools are set to get a funding increase under legislation passed before last week's deadline. Both chambers passed the bill, which calls for at least $62 million more in funding for those schools per year. But currently, charter school funding is pulled from the local school district's funding based on the number of students who transfer there, as well as some other factors. Under this bill, funding for public schools would remain untouched. It now heads to the governor's desk to be signed into law. Several Kansas airports are getting a boost in funds from the U.S. Department of Transportation. The department is handing out grants to airports for repairs and upgrades. 3 of the airports receiving grants are in southeast Kansas. The Fort Scott Municipal Airport is receiving $2,070,000. In Iola, the Allen County Airport is getting $270,000, and $144,000 are going to the Chanute Martin Johnson Airport. Well, despite a salary of $200,000 a year, Walmart is predicting a store manager shortage. Walmart has created a program to recruit and train college graduates to become store managers, promising a starting salary of $65,000. College to Career launched with 2 recent graduates this spring and aims to bring nearly 1,000 applicants through this summer. It was a weekend of coast-to-coast protests as the Supreme Court weighs its much-anticipated final abortion decision. One justice speaking out about the pending ruling and the leak itself that sparked outrage with activists nationwide. Fox News correspondent Caroline Shively reporting from Washington.
Abortion rights protesters mobilized in hundreds of cities across the U.S. over the weekend, promising a fight if the Supreme Court overturns Roe v. Wade, the decision that legalized abortion in the U.S. nearly 50 years ago.
And it is day 1 of a summer of rage where we will be ungovernable.
The demonstrations have been growing since a leaked draft opinion indicated the court would indeed overturn Roe. It's the first leak in the history of the Supreme Court, and it sparked more protests outside the homes of conservative justices. According to Justice Clarence Thomas, it's an unthinkable breach of trust.
You begin to look over your shoulder. It's like kind of an infidelity that you can explain it, but you can't undo it.
A federal decision tossing out Roe would leave abortion regulation up to individual states.
I represent 4 million Oklahomans. I don't know how much clearer we can be.
We believe life begins at conception, and we're going to protect life in Oklahoma.
What we did here is we preserved essentially the Roe versus Wade protection in Colorado, because fundamentally, Shannon, what we believe is this is not about the government making that decision. It's about women making that decision.
A bill backed by Democrats that would guarantee abortion rights nationwide failed in the Senate last week, but both sides have vowed to fight on. In Washington, Caroline Shively, Fox News.
A bit later, how high costs of food and fuel are affecting food banks.
Well, it turned out to be a nice Monday for us today. We have plenty of sunshine. Temperatures great, right around 80 for afternoon highs, very close to where we should be for this time of the year, and it looks pretty good as we go into the overnight hours tonight. We're actually going to back down upper 50s to near 60 degrees. All right, allergies are still up there on a scale of 1 to 10, mainly tree, grass, mold, kind of in that high range, 8 out of 10, 7 out of 10 for us tomorrow. Hair lower with a little bit of shower activity during the morning hours. That kind of washes out the atmosphere just a bit. Upper 60s to near 70 for us right now. A little cooler in our northwestern counties, Yates Center, Chanute, Iola, sitting into the mid 60s, but we'll drop back to about 58 to 60 later on tonight. Outside, sitting at 69, easterly winds at 5. Humidity is fairly low. It's at 57%. There's nothing going on here. You have to track out toward the west. Showers, thunderstorms, southern Colorado down through the panhandles of Oklahoma and Texas, really from Lubbock north toward Amarillo. And this complex is going to head east toward us, kind of flare up a little bit late tonight into the morning hours, giving us at least chances for scattered showers and thunderstorms during the morning. This storm system heading out toward us, that will change our weather up just a little bit over the next couple days. So a low severe threat for us tomorrow. This is not really with the morning storms. This is more into the evening, into the overnight hours for us tomorrow night. Timing, really 7 p.m. at the earliest, and then most likely after midnight. The main threats here are going to be hail and wind. I'm going to keep most of the threats on the low side, just something I want to kind of monitor as we get into the daytime hours for us tomorrow. All right, tonight we're going to watch the scattered thunderstorms out to our west kind of flare up once they start to roll in northeastern Oklahoma, southeastern Kansas. Some of these could be stronger, but majority of them are just going to be moderate to strong storms, so not much in the way of severe weather. Slowly push through, but we are going to have these scattered showers and thunderstorms out there through the morning, kind of push off toward the east. By the time we head into the afternoon, we start to heat up. We warm into lower 80s once again for afternoon highs. So here's your day planner: 59 to start, 78 by noon, high temp of 82. Once we get into the evening, we'll see if any little storms can pop up out to our west. Most likely won't happen because we have a highly capped environment. So we're going to have to wait till tomorrow night. We still want to watch that evening, but we'll wait till tomorrow night as this complex drops in, really affecting our northern counties, especially areas along and north of I-44. But this batch could pack a pretty good punch by the time we head into very late tomorrow night and Wednesday morning. Another chance for thunderstorms on Wednesday night into Thursday morning, just a slight chance. Better chances for thunderstorms roll in late Friday. Some of those could be strong to severe as well.
One good is that the temperatures during the daytime aren't too bad.
Yeah, better than last week.
Yeah. Doug, thank you, as always. Coming up in sports, Webb City and Neosho baseball squaring off for a spot in the district championship, plus Baxter Springs softball rolling in the first round of the 3A regional tournament. Jacob Leonard has that and more next.
The Joplin Eagles host the Class 6 District 6 baseball tournament this week, beginning with 4 quarterfinal games today. Now, this afternoon, the Eagles hit the field against Republic, looking to earn a spot in the Final Four in the district. And Joplin is the 5 seed in the tournament, while Republic is the 4 seed and technically the home team this afternoon. Ethan Guilford, good first inning on the mound for Joplin. Strikeout here, scoreless after 1, but Republic strikes first in the second inning. Gunnar Ellison drops it into center with the bases loaded. Trace Harrington in. Tyler Burks right behind him. That makes it 2-0 Tigers. The next inning, more from Republic. Trace Harrington. Dude caught this one square. Way up and out to left. 2-run shot for Harrington. Puts Joplin in a 4-0 hole. Fifth inning now. Little defense from Joplin. Runner on first for the Tigers. Hit out to left. Justin McReynolds comes up throwing. Right on the money to nail the runner at third. Nice play in the field. The Joplin offense, though, never really got anything going. Eagles see their season end tonight 5-0.
It's hard right now, and it's easy to think back on, losing, your last game. And, the reality is that happens to everybody in the state except for one. So I think there's a lot more to this game than that. And I think that, we had some great times this year. We had some really big wins, a lot of fun at times, and told them let it hurt for a while, but, give yourself a couple days and think back to all those fun things that happened throughout the course of the year too.
Other playoff action in Southwest Missouri this afternoon. Neosho and Webb City meet today in Neosho. The winner moves on to play for the district title on Wednesday. Bottom of the third inning, Eric Fitch grounds it to short. Now he's out at first, but Colton Eilenstein on second puts a little pressure on, forces the throw to get away. He will come in to score. Webb City has the first run of the game. Now we'll move to the fourth. Kaylor Darnell delivers a little insurance for Webb City. Drops it into left. That scores Kinley Hood. Gives the Cardinals a 2-0 lead. Gavin Stoll, outstanding on the mound for Webb City to start the game. Then Cooper Crouch would come in and slam the door. Crouch strikes out the side in the seventh. Webb City wins a good one over Neosho 2-0 to advance to the district championship. In the other semifinal matchup, Carl Junction trying to knock off the top seed in the district. That's what they did. Look at this. CJ tops McDonald County in a good one, 5-4. So it will be Carl Junction and Webb City for the district title Wednesday night. In Southeast Kansas, the Baxter Springs Lions host 3A regional softball this week. The Lions are the 4th seed in the tournament. Hit the field this afternoon against 5th-seeded Caney Valley in the first round. Now the winner of this one playing the regional semifinals tomorrow afternoon. Hallie Panther did her thing in the circle. Pair of strikeouts in the top of the first. Then bottom of the first, Baxter Springs offense really caught fire. Lily Weston here drives it all the way to the wall in right center. That scores Reagan Pitts for the first run of the day. Then second and third for Emily Williams. She drills it through short. That scores 2. Makes it 4-0. Williams safely in there for the double. And Chrissy Bailey's turn here going opposite field. That brings Addison Kipp home, and it is 5-0. Now listen, they scored 12 in the first. I can't really show it all. We don't have that kind of time, but Kipp lines it into right. 2 more score. Baxter finished it early today. Lions move on 15-0 in 3 innings. Well, Baxter Springs gets the winner of this one. Top-seeded Columbus against 8th-seeded Galena. This one, another good one, tight until the end, but the Titans win it 3-2. Columbus faces Baxter Springs in the regional semifinals tomorrow at 2. And that's it for sports. We're back with more news after this.
The high cost of food continues causing stress for countless Americans, especially those relying on necessities from food banks to survive. But now, the same inflation impacting families across the country is also making it more challenging for food pantries to help those in need. Fox News' Rob Dawson has a look at the escalating problem.
Food banks have always offered a lifeline for those struggling to eat, with more than 38 million Americans, including 12 million kids, impacted by food insecurity, according to the USDA.
If it wasn't for this food pantry, I would be in sad shape.
But surging prices for food and gas is now causing more people to need assistance.
I've never used the food banks before. I didn't have to. I felt, I leave it for people that needed it more, but now I really almost have to come.
The Labor Department reported inflation reached 8.3% last month, and while that's less than the 8.5% seen in March, the numbers are still hovering around a 40-year high, something the nation's food banks aren't immune to, as many struggle to feed larger crowds on tighter budgets. This comes as officials at Feeding America, the largest food assistance program in the country, say they're also experiencing a shortage of donated goods.
Decrease in government-supplied commodities at a time when we need it the most, and decrease in retail and manufacturing donations too.
Meaning many food banks have less to give.
We try to provide 3 to 5 days worth of food for each person that's in the household. Right now, we're 1 to 2, sometimes 3 days less than what we're able to give people.
Meantime, the uncertain economy is causing Americans' consumer confidence to reach an 11-year low. The University of Michigan reporting its consumer sentiment index plummeted by more than 6% this month alone. Rob Dawson, Fox News.
Coming up, going to check out what's new to those DVDs. Also, at-home streaming. Say, who still uses DVDs? DVD, Doug Eddy, digital and music releases this week include a coming-of-age comedy drama, an action thriller, a Grammy-winning superstar, and more. Here's Fox's Kristen Goodwin with a list of DVDs now newly released.
I'm not gonna forget you.
Topping the list of what's new in home entertainment, the coming-of-age comedy drama Licorice Pizza, starring Alana Haim, Cooper Hoffman, and Bradley Cooper. It tells the love story between a teenage boy and young woman set in 1970s Southern California.
We have fought one another for centuries.
Mark Wahlberg and Chiwetel Ejiofor star in the sci-fi action thriller Infinite, about a man diagnosed with schizophrenia who discovers his haunting hallucinations are actually visions from his past lives.
You left me with all of our problems.
The drama Sundown features Tim Roth and Charlotte Gainsbourg playing members of a wealthy British family on a vacation in Mexico that gets cut short by a sudden death back home.
Panama's about to explode.
Yellowstone star Cole Hauser teams up with Mel Gibson in the action thriller Panama. The film centers on a former Marine who gets involved in the U.S. invasion of Panama during a mission to complete a top-secret arms deal in the country.
Is it okay with you, Father, if I learn how to run?
Tyson's Run is based on a true story about an autistic teen who decides to run a marathon.
The whole world is watching for my next move.
Available from the small screen, the third season of HBO's hit series Succession, and the fifth and final season of the Netflix historical drama The Last Kingdom. For music fans, Grammy-winning superstar Harry Styles releases his new album, Harry's House. And pop rock trio Hanson celebrate their 30th anniversary with their new album, Red, Green, Blue. In Hollywood, Kristen Goodwin, Fox News.
And that's our time for tonight. Thanks so much for joining us. Going to leave you tonight with video of a baby orangutan at the Topeka Zoo. Be safe. Do this all again tomorrow. See you then.